There are players who step onto the pitch without shouting, without showing off. Yet within just a few minutes, the entire rhythm of the match changes because of them. Pablo Martín Páez Gavira, known to the football world simply as Gavi, is exactly that kind of player. Small in stature, yet capable of making even the biggest midfielders think twice. Still incredibly young, yet so often the one who determines the heartbeat of an entire match. Over the next 16 minutes, we'll take a journey through Gavi's entire story from a young boy in Andalusia to the unforgettable nights when he left Camp Nou holding its breath, and through the painful months when his own body seemed to betray him. This is not just the story of a footballer. This is the story of getting back up more times than anyone could have ever imagined. Gavi was born on the 5th of August 2004 in the small town of Los Palacios y Villafranca, located in the Andalusia region of southern Spain. He wasn't born into a famous football family. No one ever placed the pressure on him to become a star. He was simply a child who loved the ball so much that he could never sit still. Gavi's journey began in the youth academy of Real Betis, where his first coaches quickly realized one thing. This boy possessed an extraordinary speed of thought. But the real turning point came when Barcelona noticed him. In 2015, at just 11 years old, Gavi left his family behind to join La Masia, the legendary academy that had produced Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi. At La Masia, not everyone becomes a star. The success rate is incredibly low, but Gavi didn't come there simply to survive. He came there to prove himself. Imagine this. You're just 11 years old, far away from your family, living in a dormitory filled with kids who are every bit as talented as you are, and every single one of them is fighting for the same dream. One spot in the first team? That was the environment in which Gavi grew up, and he improved at an astonishing pace. Before long, Gavi was promoted to Barca B, and just a few months later, something very few young players ever achieve, he made his debut for Barcelona's first team. He was only 17 years old. Not because of a spectacular goal, not because of a breathtaking individual moment, but because of the way he played, never afraid of physical battles, never intimidated by opponents twice his age, always appearing exactly when the team needed someone to control the tempo. He has something that simply can't be taught: instinct, even when everything around him is falling apart. A coach who once worked with Gavi. Just a few weeks after making his Barcelona debut, Gavi received his first call-up to the Spanish national team. He became one of the youngest players in the history of the national team to appear in an official competition. Fans no longer spoke of him as a promising young talent. They spoke of him as a player who was already performing at the very highest level. It wasn't a single goal that made Gavi's name. It was a series of performances in which he gradually became an indispensable piece of the puzzle, both for Barcelona and for the Spanish national team. At the FIFA World Cup, despite being one of the youngest players in the tournament, Gavi forced football experts to reconsider their opinions. This wasn't a tactical experiment. This was a player who truly had the composure and quality to perform on the biggest stage in football. In 2022, he won the Kopa Trophy, the award presented to the best under-21 player in the world. That was the moment when all of Europe was forced to admit one thing. Gavi was no longer just a flash in the pan. He had become a vital part of the future of Spanish football. But every spotlight comes with a price. When you're young and when success comes too quickly, the expectations placed upon you become unfairly heavy. Every poor performance, every small mistake gets magnified. And for Gavi, his greatest challenge had yet to arrive. Football isn't only about the glorious moments beneath the bright stadium lights. It's also about the quiet recovery rooms. The lonely training sessions with no cameras, no cheering crowds, and no applause. Gavi suffered an anterior cruciate ligament, ACL injury, the kind of injury that has ended the careers of many great talents throughout football history. For months, he disappeared from the pitch. All that remained were brief updates on his recovery and the anxious silence of supporters waiting for his return. The biggest question at the time wasn't, when will Gavi come back? It was, will Gavi still be Gavi when he returns? But what truly sets Gavi apart isn't the fact that he never fell, because everyone falls at some point. What makes him different is the way he faced it. No complaints, no excuses, no blaming anyone. Just rehabilitation sessions repeated over and over again, day after day, quietly and relentlessly. He never talked much about the pain. He just trained, and trained. A former teammate once shared, and then came the day he stepped back onto the pitch. Not with a perfect goal, not with a magical moment, just with an ordinary challenge for the ball. Yet that alone was enough to make the entire crowd rise to their feet and applaud, because they understood that this wasn't simply the return of a footballer. It was proof that a person can fight and overcome even when their greatest opponent is their own body. So, what is it that truly makes Gavi different on the pitch? It's not blistering pace over long distances. It's not spectacular long-range strikes. Gavi is the kind of midfielder who thrives on intensity and intelligence in tight spaces. His low center of gravity and exceptional balance allow him to keep possession even when he's being closed down by 2 or 3 opponents at the same time. His close ball control is remarkably clean, and he constantly scans the field, reading the space before, during, and after receiving the ball, a habit that only top-class midfielders can maintain with such consistency. In his own defensive two-thirds, Gavi always prioritizes security, short passes, controlling the tempo, quick 1-2 combinations to move the ball forward step by step. But once he enters the final third, something changes. He becomes far more adventurous, not recklessly so, but with calculated intent. He only attempts the decisive pass after spotting a teammate's run and recognizing the opportunity. And perhaps the most impressive thing of all, Gavi plays with his mind first and his feet second. That's why every coach, from Ronald Koeman to those who followed him, placed their trust in him from the very beginning, despite his remarkably young age. But not every glance directed at Gavi has been one of admiration. There have been periods when his form declined. There have been matches in which he was criticized for lacking effectiveness, for being overly aggressive in challenges, and for making rushed decisions. And like any young player carrying enormous expectations, Gavi has had to face waves of doubt, even from his own supporters. But his response has always been the same. He never hides. He never offers long-winded explanations. He simply says that those who doubt him may not yet fully understand what he is trying to accomplish on the pitch. That is what real maturity looks like. It isn't about never making mistakes. It's about having the strength to stand firm every time you're questioned. So, what does the future hold for Gavi? Will he become a true legend of Barcelona and Spanish football? Or will he simply remain a brilliant chapter in a career that still has many twists and turns ahead? No one can know for certain. Football has never been fair. Injuries, form, and circumstances, any one of them can change everything in an instant. But one thing is certain. When you watch Gavi play, you're not just watching a footballer. You're witnessing a journey from an 11-year-old boy who left home to chase a dream to a warrior who fought his way back from an injury that seemed capable of ending it all. Some players earn your applause because of a goal they score. Others earn your respect because of the person they are. Gavi is a rare combination of both. So, what do you think? How do you believe Gavi's story will continue? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.